Puyi, the last emperor in Chinese feudal history. After the success of the Xinhai Revolution, the feudal system collapsed and Puyi became the last emperor of China. Ascended the throne at the age of 2 and became a puppet emperor. Puyi was born in 1906, the eldest son of Zaifan. In 1908, Emperor Wangzhou died without an heir. Puyi was chosen by the Empress Dowager Cixi to take the throne at the age of 2. The time when he ascended the throne was in between two tragic events, the death of the emperor and the death of the Empress Dowager Cixi. When he ascended the throne, the officials and the people were not happy. Because Puyi often cried, his nanny was allowed to enter the Forbidden City. He also didn't see his mother for the next 6 years. 2-year-old Puyi entered the palace, faced with strange things, so he was more afraid, crying loudly during the coronation ceremony. At this time, the court faced with many political problems but still attached great importance to the training of royal descendants. Empress Dowager Longyu invited the most famous monk of the dynasty to be Puyi's teacher. Puyi also studied math, world history, and Western geography. Since then, he developed an interest in the West and always dreamed of going abroad to study. Unfortunately, the plan didn't come true due to many objections. Although he didn't reach the lower secondary level, Puyi had fully absorbed the acquisition of traditional education and the modernity of Western education. The Court of Political Intrigues. Only 4 years after taking the throne, Puyi was deposed. This marked the fall of Jin dynasty and the end of the feudal period in Chinese history. According to the agreement, Puyi and the court were still allowed to stay in the Forbidden City, still receiving an annual allowance of 4 million taels of silver. During this time, Puyi still received his respect and authority. In 1924, Puyi was pressured by the government of the Republic of China to leave the Forbidden City. On November 5th of that year, his family officially left the Forbidden City, living as ordinary people in a village in Tianjin that was under Japanese administration. In 1928, warlord Sun Dainayin sent troops to destroy the Yin dynasty mausoleum in Shandong. This news made Puyi and other members of the royal family disgruntled. He then sent a telegram to Chiang Kai-shek, demanding punishments for those who invade the mausoleum. Chiang Kai-shek then opened an investigation but then let it all go. This event made Puyi even more determined to restore the throne at all costs. In 1932, Puyi became the head of the state of Manchuria. In 1934, he was crowned emperor of the Great Manchuria Empire. Even so, his entire family was closely monitored by the Japanese. His supporters were also eliminated to replace by pro-Japanese officials. During this period, he still took the time to read prayers and consult the prophet and visited his country. Peaceful end of life. During a parachute operation, Soviet soldiers accidentally captured Puyi. He was sent to the Soviet Union to live. Due to Stalin's desire to rekindle relations with Mao Zedong, Puyi was able to come back in 1950. Due to the crime of shaking hands with Japanese, Puyi spent 10 years in the Fujian re-education camp. He then went to Beijing in 1950 with the permission of Mao Zedong. He had to live for 6 months in an ordinary apartment with his sister before being moved to a government-funded hotel. Puyi worked at the Beijing Botanical Garden, then served as a member of the History Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. Mao Zedong launched the Cultural Revolution in 1966. Puyi was still protected by the local police force even though his luxury items has been removed. Puyi died in Beijing from complications of kidney cancer and heart disease on October 17, 1967. His body was cremated instead of buried like his ancestors. Puyi died taking the status of a commoner, so he did not have a temple name or a posthumous name. Marriage tragedy. In addition to the political tragedy, his life was also faced with a family tragedy. When he was only 15 years old, the imperial concubines began to pay attention to choosing a queen for him. In 1921, the selection process officially began. In the end, the chosen person to be the queen was Wang Rong, and the position of Khan was Wenxiu. In 1922, the great wedding took place. When knowing that Puyi intended to join hands with the Japanese to destroy the Yin dynasty, Wenxiu tried many times to advise him, but it didn't work and also made Puyi hate her. Seeing that she could no longer live in this family, she sued Puyi for mistreatment and asked for a divorce. In a lawsuit, she even stated that Puyi was mentally ill. The incident caused a stir in the public. Thanks to the power of public opinion, Wenxiu won the case, and Puyi had to sign a paper with 3 terms. As for the Empress, she suffered more and more indifference later on. She later became addicted to opium and died at the age of 40. Puyi, after returning to his position as a commoner, he married a nurse. Thanks for watching the video. Goodbye and see you later.